regard, defamation cases as maybe the most important or the most profound cases there are, because we only get one reputation, and you don't get a second chance once it's destroyed. To have your reputation destroyed is really to ruin everything about you. It ruins you, it ruins your family's view of you, it ruins your neighbor's view of you. You go to a party, you don't know who's looking at you sideways because they heard, you're a this or you're a that. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to live with. And for that reason, when we represent defamation clients, it really is the most profound type case we could be handling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Halftime Show presented by Bocchetto and Lentz here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel at 6abc.com. Our friend John McMullen will be joining us momentarily from Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles are just getting embarrassed to the tune of 13-0 after the first half. Eagles getting 2 first downs, both of them coming very late on their last possession there in the first half. But the only word to really describe the Eagles throughout that first half of play is embarrassing. If they thought they were just going to be able to walk over this team, this New Orleans Saints team, who is fighting for their playoff lives without Jalen Hurts, and just walk over this team, good Lord, were they wrong. That was an abysmal first half performance. We'll get John McMullen up here to ask him about the latest on Josh Sweat. He's been sent to the hospital, unfortunately. We'll get the latest there from John. And, of course, what this Eagles team needs to do in the second half. But, John, let's get to the play on the field first and foremost. How abysmal. That was the worst half of football I've seen the Eagles play maybe since that first half against Dallas last year in Dallas, where they, ironically, also only had 2 carries to their running backs in that one as well. But what were your takeaways from that abysmal first half?
Well, first and foremost, they weren't able to stay on the field offensively. So you mentioned, Mark, that they weren't able to get a first down until 11 seconds were left in the first half. So, when you talk about 4 consecutive 3-and-outs, 0 for 4 on third down, and we've seen this happen a couple times, not to this degree, but the time of possession is 22:50 for New Orleans, 7:10 for the Eagles. So when you talk about those numbers and not being able to run the football, well, partially is they can't, convert on third down, so they didn't have the football. Pretty much a complete breakdown in the first half. Gardner Minshew was not comfortable. We talked a lot about Lane Johnson, and individually you see the number of sacks, and there's 5 sacks for the Saints in the first half. Cam Jordan got him twice. Caden Ellis, Christian Ellis's older brother, got him. Granderson got him twice. Clearly, they missed Lane Johnson. Now, when I say that, it wasn't all Jack Driscoll's fault. It seems like a complete breakdown. Gardner Minshew wasn't comfortable. And then you talk about the quarterback who didn't play well, simply did not play well. And I think the Eagles' defense certainly, you might look away because the offense played so poorly. But while I say that, especially early, the defense wasn't very good either. Now, they made some plays. They got a little bit better as the first half wore on. But you saw the Saints were really taking advantage of Josiah Scott early. Now he got the big interception late in the first half, which gave the Eagles some life. I mean, if the Saints even get a field goal there, it's a completely different game. Mm-hmm. They're getting the football in the second half, still plenty of time. But, yeah, it wasn't good.
It's going to have to be a complete turnaround for the Eagles to pull this one out. But I didn't think I'd be saying that when you and I spoke before the game during the pregame show, of course. So for me in this game, I know you're down 13 points. 13 points is nowhere near an insurmountable comeback here or a lead here in this game. Do you think they'll get back to Miles Sanders and actually put this game on the running back and offensive line shoulders as opposed to asking Gardner Minshew to do everything?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to run it more. I mean, they're going to have to be better offensively. Obviously, now the one thing I brought up during the pregame show before I had some audio problems was Miles is hurt. Miles is playing with a knee brace. Miles is not himself. So maybe that plays into it as well. But I got some people asking why so much Kenny Gainwell. Well, when you're in hurry up or third downs, that's Kenny Gainwell's role. That's been his role all season. So you're behind here. So when you're behind, now it's less than 2 scores, as you mentioned, Mark. So you don't have to completely abandon the running game, but the passing game is going to have to be a big part of this if the Eagles want to come back in this game. And the one thing, if you sift through all the rubble, it's pretty clear the Saints can't deal with A.J. Brown. So if it's as simple as slant, A.J. Brown, do it. Mm-hmm. Keep doing it, because that's the one thing that has sort of worked for the Eagles.
On a more serious note, any update on Josh Sweat? Last we saw, he was taken to the hospital. Anything there, John?
He was taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons. He has all movement and all his extremities, so that's the good sign. When he was getting carted off very slowly, did at the very end give the thumbs up sign. So, looked like a whiplash type situation. It's been described as a neck injury. You're hoping for the best case scenario. NFL teams are very cautious now as opposed to when they were 20, 30 years ago. So you're hoping it's just out of an abundance of caution. But it was certainly a scary scene. The good news is movement in all his extremities, so we're not talking catastrophe.
Gotcha. And also, you mentioned already A.J. Brown. You'd like to see him be more involved in the second half when the Eagles come out, as they do have the ball down 13-0 to start the second half. But A.J. Brown's not going to be able to do a lot for you if Gardner Minshew isn't able to throw accurately, make good throws on that. Do you think he'll be able to bounce back in the second half?
Well, he wasn't comfortable, but you did see a little bit at the end of the first half. I mean, that throw to Dallas Goedert that was incomplete was a really sharp throw. Probably his best throw of the half, and it was really difficult because he was bracketed in double coverage. As I mentioned, the 2 slants to A.J. Brown, he threw sort of a fade, a back shoulder fade to Devontae Smith, but Devontae didn't have any separation. Really not a lot to go on, but the Boo Birds were out. They were not happy with Gardner Minshew. It's understandable, but, he's attempted 10 passes and he's been sacked 5 times. Mm-hmm. That's not good.
No, definitely not good. Now, on the other side of things, Andy Dalton is having all but one incompletion, which was, of course, the interception there at the end of the half to Josiah Scott. Anything the Eagles could do to get him off his mark? Because he did have a phenomenal first half. You see any more aggression, anything more setting the house maybe to try to get him a little uncomfortable, as Gardner Minshew has been uncomfortable in that first half?
Well, I don't think the pass rush was a problem. I mean, Andy is the type of quarterback that's going to sit back there and give you an opportunity to sack him. Now, the Eagles had 3 sacks. So, Brandon Graham got number 10. They broke the franchise record in the first half. They are getting to the quarterback. The problem has been on the back end, and they are struggling without Avonte Maddox. Maybe that Josiah Scott play at the end of the half helps with some confidence there, but the coverage has got to be better. James Bradbury got beat, so you don't see that often. Coverage has got to be better.
Certainly. John McMullen, appreciate you joining us from the link for the JAKIB Media Halftime Show. All right, let's hope for a better turnaround here from the Eagles in the second half of play at Lincoln Financial Field. This has been the Halftime Show on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, as well as 6abc.com, brought to you by Bocchetto and Lentz. Thanks for watching.
Regard, defamation cases as maybe the most important or the most profound cases there are, because we only get one reputation. and you don't get a second chance once it's destroyed. To have your reputation destroyed is really to ruin everything about you. It ruins you, it ruins your family's view of you, it ruins your neighbor's view of you. You go to a party, you don't know who's looking at you sideways because they heard, you know, you're a this or you're a that. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to live with. And for that reason, when we represent defamation clients, it really is the most profound type case we could be handling.